One thing I saw Gary Vaynerchuk talks about is attention is the new currency.
Oh yeah.
That you always have to be staying front of mind with people. And it's not just one medium. It's the emails, it's the Facebook, it's the Instagram, it's every single way that you can, your client events. Always find a way in normal, natural ways to bring up yourself rather than just real estate. Because at the end of the day, people don't care about that. They don't care about real estate. It's a thing that they have to do. They want to get to know you for who you are.
So, a lot of agents say they want to win, but they're still working like it's 2016, not 2026. Still doing everything themselves, still busy instead of effective, and still confusing motion for actual momentum. Well, today we're breaking down what the next generation of real estate actually understands about growth, discipline, and leverage, and what a lot of agents are still getting completely wrong. So welcome back to Cracking the Code, where we unpack the systems, mindset, and real estate strategies behind what's actually working in the business. I'm Puya Mohit, and today I'm joined by Austin Hellickson. Austin's been around high-level real estate conversations, performance, and growth from an early age, and now he's stepping into the business with a perspective that's fresh, sharp, and very in tune with where things are headed today. So this is what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about what younger agents are doing better, what discipline actually looks like, and why most agents don't have a lead problem. They actually have a leverage problem. Austin, glad to have you on.
I appreciate Puyan for the invitation to jump on with you guys today.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and I love to pick the brain of someone who's younger in the business, but crushing it the way you are. So let's start here. You've been around real estate and business conversations such as these earlier than most of us. What did that environment, or should I say, what's the biggest thing that environment taught you early that most people don't figure out till much later, or if at all at all?
Some of my earliest childhood memories are literally like in the back of my mom's car when she was on showings way back when. And I've been very blessed to grow up with parents who have been in the industry, taught me a lot of just like the nuances when it comes to real estate. And then obviously I got my license. I still had to figure it out myself. And I couldn't just rely on them for that point and for that matter. So just being able to see that consistency and that hard work that they had over a long period of time actually does come to fruition and come to results. And nowadays I'm around a lot of the other agents, whether it's at my brokerage, whether it's at the state level, the association, that they almost complain per se that they're not having the results that they're wanting to see. And then I think to myself, like, okay, what are they doing on a daily basis? And it's nothing. They're just not having the habits that are not going to lead to those outcomes. So they're not receiving those outcomes that they're wanting.
Yeah, that makes totally sense. So consistency is king, right? And in our business, if you're not doing your touches, right? Whether you're a listing agent, buyer agent, if you're not doing your touches and you're not building that pipeline, you don't really have much to look forward in the future unless you're waiting for that one deal to fall into your lap. And that is by no means a business strategy that's built for longevity. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
The
So,
follow-up's key. If you don't mind,
yeah,
I'll give you an example real quick.
go
Is that
ahead.
I have a lady that I've known for a very long time, and she was actually on my team at one point, and she did an open house. And she had like 10, 15 people come through the open house, which is fantastic. And this is a year or two ago at this point. And then week, 2 weeks rolls by after the open house, and she's kind of like, oh my goodness, I'm not having, success. I'm not seeing the results. And then I'm like, okay, did you call those people after your open house? Oh, I should probably do that. Like, it sounds so simple. And then she called those people, and one of them was already under contract for the purchase of a home. So, guys, to everyone that's listening, number one, it's great to leverage yourself. But to your point, Puya, you got to be proactive with your inputs. You have to be proactive with what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis, or nothing's going to happen.
And keep those good notes. You bring up a good point. Like you go meet people at an open house, you're having conversations. Try to leave yourself some breadcrumbs. Like maybe take 2 or 3 words from the conversation, subject matter, a sport. Do they have a kid? Are they in what grade are they in, etc. Have these little breadcrumbs that you could kind of bring immediate connection to that conversation. And funny you mentioned that. I always bring up this pain point with agents because this again speaks to the importance of follow-up, right? So you have that CRM follow-up. This is maybe a past client you had, and you're in maintenance mode. You just do the monthly touches, right? And then that 1 month you don't touch them. You reach out. Next month they're listed with somebody else. And you can't, and they're always the agent. This happened to a real agent of mine. I was actually getting lunch with them and they said, "Would you believe that this actually happened?" I said, "You know what's funny? It's not their fault. You can't get mad at the client because they're going with what's top of mind. When that need hits, if you're not right there in front of them or you skip out that one, that is that one opportunity that you could have locked down that person for that next transition, that next chapter. You've already built the rapport. Might as well keep it rolling."
It's hard in the first place for us all to get clients. But once you get that person, continue to work them over a long period of time. One thing I saw Gary Vaynerchuk talks about is attention is the new currency.
Oh yeah.
That you always have to be staying front of mind with people. And it's not just one medium. It's the emails, it's the Facebook, it's the Instagram, it's every single way that you can, your client events. Always find a way in normal, natural ways to bring up yourself rather than just real estate. Because at the end of the day, people don't care about that. They don't care about real estate. It's a thing that they have to do. They want to get to know you for who you are.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it on the head, right? Real and natural ways to bring yourself up. And I always say, and as a marketer, talking about real estate too, with some experience, it's really important that let's look at social media as a whole and a person's composite as a whole, right? What is the average cycle that they're buying real estate? 3 to 5 years, maybe on a fast clip. And then when they're engaged in a real estate purchase, it's maybe what, 3 to 6 months at an expedient clip. So for that other 2.5 to 4.5 years, what are you talking about that keeps their attention, that's relevant to them, that would make them stay your friend on social media or keep subscribing to your emails if it's not just 100% about real estate, right?
Yeah.
So you have to create that diversity. You have to bring up those, hey, am I a local expert? Something I really push is that local expertise. Get involved in your community, talk about your community, talk about life in general in your community to really bring that perspective. So I love that point that you brought up about that real and natural ways to make those endpoints. So let me ask you this. When did real estate click for you? Like, when were you like, this is something I actually want to pursue in my life, and not just like the family business, but something I really want to do?
It's never gonna click. No, I mean, so my parents, I mean, so I'm Mormon or LDS, and I went on a church mission. I went to Ecuador and I also served part of my mission in Utah. But before I went on my mission, I was still in high school. COVID just started, actually on my birthday of all things. And I'm like, great. So now I got like nothing I can do. So I got my real estate license. And I went on my mission and I came home from my mission. And at the end, I'm like, you know what? College, do I do that? I mean, I did what's called running start. So I did 2 years of college in high school. So I already had half my degree done. And I'm just like, no, I mean, it's just no point in, right now. I might as well just get right into real estate. So that's what I ended up doing. Is I already had my license. I activated my license and was off to the races from there. So I even still feel like, it hasn't really clicked for the longest time of why real estate. And a lot of us, let's call it like it is, get into the business for the moolah. Like there's such good money when it comes to selling real estate. But what really probably happened this last year, especially, is that I feel very blessed behind some of the success that I've had in real estate, that I've wanted to be able to share that success with other people. That I feel like we've been all blessed at whatever level we have in our life. And if we do not share those success, if we do not help other people to have their own success, we won't be able to have as much success long term that we want.
That's beautiful. So paying it forward is an
Yeah.
important part of the business in 2026 and beyond.
Yes,
That's
sir.
the See, audience, this is the mind of a young, successful real estate professional. Now, just to give some snapshot to the audience, Austin, tell us a little bit about your business growth from getting into the real estate business more recently, and tell us a little bit about that success.
So got licensed August 2020, full-time end of 21, 22. And August, let me back up. End of December 2021 was when I actually got my full-time into the business. January 1st, I opened up the office for some other folks to come in and call some expireds. And there's like 1,200 expireds on that day. Because again, January 1st is the best expired day of the year for those that don't know. And no one showed up to the office. And I'm like, guys, like, do you not want these leads? So what did Austin do? Austin made 8 hours of calls that day, called 1,200 expireds, and I set 12 listing appointments.
Wow.
I had 11 people show up, and guess how many Puya I signed on those 11?
I want to say you got them all.
I didn't sign a single one.
Oh, wow. You didn't get
I
any of
was
them.
I
Okay.
was just so distraught. I'm like, this sucks. I never get into real estate again. And I know you had a conversation, I think it was my dad as well. And my dad's like, no, suck it up, Buttercup. Like, get back on the horse. So kept and stuck with it. So year one, I signed 97 listings. Year two was 124. Year three, 168. Year, what would that be? The next year or last year was around 120. And 3 months into this year, I'm at 30 listings so far. So still on track for about 10 a month.
Wow. That's unbelievable. Kudos to you. That
Thank
is a
you.
growth clip. So I would say that you're dangerous on the phones to say the very least, to say the very
I'm a
least.
lot better now. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
We'll get into that a little bit. But like so let's talk a little bit about the mentality and the belief. You talked a little bit about that. But what is that one belief that you picked up early on or maybe your father instilled on you to push through the hard time? And I think this is really important for young real estate professionals to hear. You were extremely successful on your first prospecting series of calls, but then you didn't get the instant results. And most people would say, man, I really went hard there. I really went above and beyond. I touched every contact. I even landed 11 appointments to get zero, to get goose egg. That's really painful. What was the belief that carried you over? And what is your word to other young professionals that may be hitting that first little hurdle?
I think instant gratification is a big issue in today's society as a whole. Because again, if I want to get some sort of dopamine rush, I go on Facebook, I watch funny reels, and now I'm getting that dopamine that I want to get. And having the exact opposite happens, like I'm done. Like I literally cried to my dad about it at what, 20 years old. I'm like, Dad, this sucks. I'm done. But it's always easier said than done, but you have to begin with the end in mind. Why are you doing what you're doing right now? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for other people? Are you doing it so you can grow? Are you doing it to prove people wrong? There's no right or wrong answer on why you're doing it. But remember what that thing is and stick with it over a long period of time, and you'll have that success. You'll be able to help yourself and other people too. Like I have a very soft spot in my heart as well for people that are going into foreclosure. I will do everything under my power to ensure that we can get that foreclosure postponed and the property sold. So one of my biggest motivators is, you know what? I'm going to find as many people humanly possible that are going into foreclosure and stop that foreclosure. I've had people cancel listings with me because they were able to save themselves from foreclosure and like, I'm going to keep the house now. I'm like, dang it. But I don't blame you, right? Like I accomplished the goal in which I was doing. Did I get paid? No, not by any means. But it changed that person's life. And we all have ways to change people's lives over a long period of time if you find out what that reason is.
That's great. So make sure you know your motivation because your motivation will get you a lot further than necessarily just getting a commission check or the deal done.
Yeah.
Sometimes that motivation could be more. It could be helping, educating, maybe just giving people information that next time they try to do this process, they're more successful. You helped. And
And
then
discipline.
yeah, discipline. And then the biggest enemy, I guess, of every agent is that instant gratification that creeps in. And I guess we used to call it back in the day commission breath, right? When
Yeah.
you start to focus so much on the close that you lose the process and you lose the purpose of the transaction in the first place. I think that's when you have blinders. It's not having the end in sight, but it's only seeing the end that's relative to you. And speaking of the old ways, so there's definitely a shift that's happening, right? And you probably have a really good perspective on this coming up in the business, seeing how things were, how older Vanguard agents are that are still top producers, but also how newer agents act and how they're approaching the business. So if you had to put your finger on it, what are younger agents doing better than previous generations of agents? And I know this is
So,
controversial. What are they doing
social
better?
media for sure, without a
Social.
question. That you look at it as well, it was like 66% of deals way back when were based off referral and SOI. Now I think it's closer in under 50%. You got these massive Zillow Flex teams. You got the Google opportunities that are coming out. Google's trying to create their own engine and optimization to be able to only post properties on Google before you see the Zillow, the Realtor.coms as well. So there's so many different things that are out there changing. But again, like we talked about earlier already, Puya, it's that the attention is currency.
Yeah.
They're right. Everyone is glued to their phones nowadays. They got even worse through COVID. So you want to stay front of mind. You want to be in front of as many people as possible. Utilize social media. And I feel like that because of our day and age in our society, kids specifically have gotten really, really, really good at doing that.
Yeah, and I think you again hitting the nail on the head, that audience, understanding the audience and how in 2026 and beyond, they're consuming data and how they're looking at real estate. I mean, older agents may have great practices, which are always good to keep the old ways to a degree, but some of those efforts may be misfires in today's day and age, right? Because those aren't the channels that buyers are really saturating. And maybe social media and these new avenues that are coming up on some of these legacy search engines and some of the bigger players, they're coming out, like you said, new products, new avenues, eyeballs go that direction. So that's really important. So that's great. I love that. That was a good way of cheekily getting around it being too controversial, because I think every older agent will say, yeah, I'm terrible at social media.
Yeah.
So we didn't get too controversial there. But now I'm gonna put you in that situation
All
again.
right.
On the other side of the token, young agents, what are they getting wrong compared to older
Oh,
agents?
one thing I suck at, and I'll even admit this myself, is I suck at working my sphere of influence. Is that you think about it, I'm 24 years old now. How many people that are 24 years old are selling houses? I mean, don't get me wrong. I wish my SOI was buying homes as well. But what's the average? Is it 36 now, Puya? Is
Yeah,
national for age for to buy a house?
yeah,
So
late 30s.
yeah, I'm aged out of the market myself.
Yeah.
So I have to find other methods to be able to drum up and to generate business. I mean, I don't want to say old people, but older folks, they're what, 40s, 50s, their friends are buying houses, selling houses, they're having their kids get together for sporting events. Like it's just normal and natural to talk about business. People my age, they're talking about, dude, you see that cat video online the other day? It was so funny. Like they're talking about college. Like they're not even thinking about homes at this point in my life. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. Like I don't have that benefit.
That's a great point. So that's two things there. Like one, sure, younger agents could get better at hammering their sphere, but you bring up a good point, Austin. Like, what is it going to do to hammer a sphere if they can't purchase, if they're not capable? So sure, maybe the marination process starts. Maybe those are what we'll call them like G buyers. Like they're so far down the pipeline that we'll put them somewhere in the mix, but they're not even the ABC tiers yet. They're
Yeah.
a half a decade or more away
They
from.
want to buy, but they can't afford it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that's an important thing that, as you said, education, it's really important to be able to educate people on when it's reasonable and compare those national standards, bring those up so people don't feel as perhaps afflicted by their inability. They realize that they're amongst a larger group of people that are all in the
Yeah.
same pool of affordability. So let's it talking about social media, talking about the things that younger agents do, maybe good and maybe poorly. I know they do social media really well, and I know they do content really well. But from your perspective, what are some things that younger agents are doing that don't really bring in results? Like they're doing lots of this and you see it in the market, but it is non-productive or it's not the best use of their time. What would you say is that one thing?
So one of my good friends is an agent as well. He's got almost 400,000 followers on Instagram alone. And he's like, I have no clue how to like monetize this. And so I feel like what sometimes these agents will do, and it's specifically younger agents, is they'll go for the quantity of followers, not necessarily quality of followers either. They're getting the hype of, oh yeah, Pooja, look at me, I got, 500,000 people that follow me. Great, but how much is that actually benefiting your business? Are these people who might be transacting one day, or are these people that are just watching you to watch you because you post funny things? And I don't know him personally, but if you've heard of, have you heard of Speed Tours? That kid in Texas, Pooja?
Yep.
Funny guy, like just funny videos. Like I even just enjoy watching his videos. But is he hitting his target audience? I don't know because I'm not him to see the results coming to fruition.
Yeah.
He's probably getting a lot of people that are younger, like, oh my gosh, this guy's funny, sharing those reels back and forth. But is he hitting those people that are looking to buy or to sell in San Antonio, in the Houston markets?
Yeah. So I guess it comes back to another point you mentioned earlier, Austin. It comes back to that motivation. What are you doing this for? If you're doing it for some sense of celebrity, notoriety, or just general audience brand recognition, great. But don't mix the two and start doing this and say, yeah, I keep going viral, but I'm not getting any listings. It's like, are you trying to get listings or are you trying to go viral? Because I think, they're not always they're not always coupled together. Sometimes they can be mutually exclusive. So
Yeah.
that's a very interesting point. So, talking about an agent that wants to crush out 120 or more signs, 120 more listings per annum, What are the big three things that matter the most to make that happen?
Well, lead gen, lead follow, lead conversion is the number one thing you have to focus on to actually get the results coming down the table. But on that note, I'll say that's one of them. The second one is breaking it down to a granular level and realizing it's not nearly as hard as you probably think it is as well. Most agents are stuck doing what, 5, 10 deals a year, but they're not even striving to do more than that necessarily. And if they are, their habits are not aligned with the result either. So if you want to sign 100, or if you want to close, let's say 120 people a year, that means you got to sign, call it twice that. So let's just say to your numbers, Puya, you want to sign, not close, but sign 12 listings a month. Great. What is your conversion rate? Conversion rate, let's just say it's 1 out of every 4 people you meet with, you sign the listing. Fantastic. What that means is you need to meet with 480 people every single year. 12 years, so you got 480, divide that by 12. You meet with 40 people every single month. Now, 40 divide that by, let's just say 20 working days a month. If you meet with 2 people every single day who you have not met with in the past, and assuming you suck, you're going to sign 120 listings. So find 2 people. Set 3 listing appointments a day because you're gonna have some people that no show. You're gonna have some reschedules. But if all you did was set 3 listing appointments every single day, you're now signing 120 listings a year.
Audience, if you're not bookmarking this conversation right now and just writing down the simple math that Austin used to produce that 120 per annum, I think you're missing out on the biggest strategy ever because it seems pretty simple,
It
right?
is.
Two a
And I'll
day
give
on business days, keep that consistent throughout the year, you're at your 120.
Yeah, and I'll give you my averages as well. And I'm talking about I love expired listings, I will say myself, and we'll probably get to this in a second too. But if you're only looking at expired listings, no other types of lead sources, this is roughly what your numbers should be. 1 out of every 10 people should answer the phone. Of the people that answer the phone, 1 out of 12 to 1 out of 15, you should be able to set an appointment with. Of the people you set an appointment with, 50% should show up. Of the ones that show up, again, you should be at least a 50% signing ratio. And of the ones that sign, again, as you continue to scale this up and have volume, you need to be okay with listings canceling. We don't want listings to cancel, but things are going to come up. So I plan 50% will sell. Some will expire, some will cancel, some will save themselves from foreclosure. 50% will sell. So watch this again, use that reverse math to figure out if I want to have 25 closings a year on pure cold calls, how many what would I have to do in order to get that?
I love it. I love it. It's a simple method and it doesn't take a math genius to figure it out. And the numbers just work. And I mean, it comes from a person who understands the business from both a perspective of a kid growing up watching the business and now a guy who's in the business and crushing it. So thank you for sharing those numbers.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, right? It's not easy for you, Austin. And everybody, and this is kind of the crux of this conversation. We're going to get into some nuts and bolts here. Everybody says they want success, right? But not everybody is built for what? The mundane, boring, repetitious part of success, right? That's what you said, the
Yeah.
buzzword earlier, the discipline, the listing follow up. These are all the habits and the work ethic that build that successful agent, kills that instant gratification because you may not get it. This is the rough part. This is the unsightly part. So let's dive into it. What habits are you focused on building right now?
So I've talked about like those the 3 key pillars of real estate: the lead gen, lead fault, lead conversion. So if it's buyers, focus on those 3. If it's sellers, focus on those 3. So every single day, 8 a.m. to noon, I prospect. That's all I do for 4 hours. I'm generating new leads. And I'm also calling and following up with my old leads during that time too. So about 3 hours is generating new leads and appointments. I set 1 appointment every single hour. 1 hour is the follow-up phone calls from people who I haven't signed listings with yet, striving to set appointments of people I've already called in the past, etc. And then from 12 in the afternoon till 8, 9 o'clock at night, I'm going on listing appointments. And my goal again is I need to go on 3 listing appointments every single day. And that will get me 1 to 2 listings signed every single day, 5 days a week. That's 5 listings a week. That's 20 listings a month. That's my goal.
And you know it's crazy, Austin, as you say it, it sounds like a magic wand to some, right? It sounds like, oh wow, he's like really crushing it. But what are you doing? It's actually a really simple, consistent, old school method. You know,
Boring.
we all exactly, it's not glorious, it's not glorious, it's not glorious in any way, shape, or form. It's super mundane, it's super boring. And you know what's even crazier is we go to coaches, we talk to people who are super successful like yourself, and everybody knows these things. But what, in your mind, what's the gap between knowing these things and then people actually doing these things? What do you think's
I
that
feel like
roadblock?
people always want the easy route, right? I mean, I hate to say it like this, but why do people gamble all the time? Because it's or go use the lottery, right? Well, I'll put in $5, I could get $1 million. It's the easiest and the shortest path to success. However, why do more people like to do fix and flips compared to buy and hold? Because they're getting $50,000 at once compared to $500 at once. We all want that instant gratification. If you're cold calling, no answer, no answer. No answer. It gets boring. It gets hard. It's nobody likes doing that. But success is boring. And if you're able to do the hard tasks over a long period of time that nobody else wants to do, you'll have the results that nobody else can have because you've taken those actions at the beginning.
Yeah. You got to lean into the boring. Like
Yeah,
that's the key to success is lean into the boring, make peace with it. Find the fun in it, find the
make it a
challenge.
game.
Yeah, there you go. Make it a game, gamifying things. And agents, hey, audience, right? Sales agents, we love gamifying things. We love competitive nature. So lean into the competitive nature and make it fun for yourself. And speaking of leaning in, where do you see people getting burnout or breaking their momentum in the process, whether they're new agents or older agents, in your experience in general? Where do you see those areas of burnout or a disturbance in that momentum? Where do you see the kinks happening?
So there's two things I see behind it. Number one, people don't like making phone calls, and when they don't see the success, they're like, oh, "Great, I'm just done doing this, or I'm just gonna get out of everything." However, I think many of us on this call may know who Alex Hormozy is.
Yep.
And Alex Hormozy talks about burnout and stress and that entire philosophy. And he talks about, I don't believe in burnout. And he's like, the reason I don't believe in burnout is because if I were to say, Pooya, I want you to make 1 million phone calls today and you're guaranteed to make X amount of money or have these results, you would make every single one of those phone calls.
Right.
However, people get burnt out because they see the lack of results. Their expectation and the reality is different. You need to match those. If your goal and your expectation is to set one appointment every single day, but you're setting two, three, four appointments every single day, are you going to be burnt out?
Yeah.
Flip the script. If your goal is to set 3 appointments every single day, get 3 listings signed every single week, and you're getting one, you're gonna get discouraged. You're gonna get burnt out. You're gonna be upset, frustrated, and you're gonna be out of the business faster than anybody else.
I think that's a great point. Make sure your expectations are realistic. Realign your expectations. Know who you are. If you're a new agent, are you really expecting every call to convert into a sale right away? That would be unrealistic, right? And I think there's another thing too that I've seen and that contributes to this. I've seen when somebody is presented with something that's uncertain, undefined, or they're inexperienced with, the self-talk and the anxiety that leads up to doing it sometimes kills their ability to be fully dedicated to that task or even do it at all. They're like, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh, that's too much work. I've never done that before. All these concerns, all these contradictions start crossing your vein, objections. Oh, I can't do this for this reason or that reason. And the next thing you know, so much of your mental bandwidth was just consumed and annihilated even by just the thought of that task. And now what are you left with? A very weak psyche going into something that you already didn't want to do and you're beaten by. So yeah,
Action be
same thing. Yeah.
action begets inaction. Like as an example, we're talking about expireds for a second. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the address, I'm gonna look it up on the MLS, I'm gonna see what came off the market, how many days, this, that, the other, and you're gonna call them, and they're not gonna answer the phone.
Yeah.
And then you just wasted 5 minutes of prep work or that stress and anxiety before you actually even have them answer the phone. Like, go and do, put yourself out there, and then again, you'll see what the results that happen.
That's the best words. Go and do. Just go and do. That's the Yoda saying. There is no try, there is only do. I
Yep.
think something to that effect. It's really as simple. Put that one foot in front of the other, and next thing you know, you're crossing that finish line. And I think that's the key. Sometimes people overthink it, and sometimes you just need to start doing it and let the chips fall where they may, and then course correct as you go. But at least you're
100%.
on your path.
And that's the thing,
So,
like with my 11 appointments coming full
yeah.
circle, I didn't know what to do. I was literally watching videos in my car to the house on like how to do a listing appointment. And then I just fumbled that first appointment. But again, I was very blessed to have great teachers that taught me great principles through Club Wealth to where I had a lot more success in the long run because I stuck to my actions and I did not give up.
Yeah.
Go and do, you guys.
Consistency, you built up your confidence too by doing that. Every failure, if you look at it as a failure on a failure, no, it's an opportunity. Why did I think that was a failure? So that means we each secretly know what we were deficient in, what we didn't connect with the seller or the buyer on, what we should have said that we didn't, what we said that we shouldn't have. All those things. The reads, we get a little too carried away, and maybe these clients are not very animated and they're more subdued, and we overdid it for them. So there's all these little micro movements that we'll learn over time, and it's that first step creates that first bit of confidence that drives you forward. So, this is kind of a loaded question because Austin is a successful, driven, and seemingly very organically disciplined gentleman, right? You're already on your path. So, do you find yourself naturally being disciplined in this way, or have you felt yourself having to build practices to kind of keep yourself on track? And if so, what are some of those practices?
I'm going to say yes and no to both of that. Number one, because I've been very blessed through good parents to help hold me accountable and knowing what it takes in the industry, they help hold me to that standard, if not a higher standard behind that as well, which helps me to not organically have that discipline. But because I've built up that discipline through habits, that it's become a little bit more organic and naturally. By the end of the day, I live off my calendar. That if it's not in my calendar, I'm not doing it. So if you guys, again, plan out your day every half an hour on the half an hour from literally the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. There is something in there. And if there's nothing in there, well, guess what? I'm going back to my CRM and I'm finding people to call. That's it.
So making sure to fill your time, and it seems like prospecting, building your client pipeline seems to be your thrust. So I would say if Austin's giving that one small habit that changes everything right now, audience, listen in. It's the consistency, but not just mindless consistency. He is constantly working on his pipeline. What did he say earlier? He says he's doing prospecting consistently daily for multiple hours a day. So those are several touches. Then he's doing what? He's going back to past clients or SOI and making sure that the people who have been possible best referral partners, best possible clients that you can have, you already won those over, making sure those are touched. And then you said you do follow-ups on any non-responses. So he's really constantly touching all his pools. And this doesn't just ensure what happens today, right? This is
Yeah.
building your possible conversions for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the road. And we all forget the beautiful referral. So you don't know by giving a good experience how many other incidentals throughout the year, and I'm sure you could talk to this, how many incidentals come from your great service? You do 120
Oh, yeah.
listings. What percentage of that are getting referred to you per annum, would you say?
Oh, a good amount. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but you have to be consistent with it. If you don't even ask for the referrals, if you're not going out there and giving that level of service, you're not going to get any referrals as well.
Yeah, super important. I love the my favorite one is adding in an email signature. The best compliment is referring us to a friend, colleague, or family member. A best compliment is a referral.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, some people ask for reviews and everything like that, but I think in the high points, you just did a win, you did a critical win, you did a great negotiation, you were able to get the seller to take on some expenses for your buyer, and that win, right? High point,
Yeah.
put something in front of them for them to be able to reciprocate, and a referral is always a, hey, is there anybody else that you think could benefit from our services? I would love to be able to help them too. Next thing you know, you got a whole nother client in pocket. That's
Yep.
excellent. So let's talk about what's actually happening in the market. Like, not the big national headlines, what's going on with the realtor lawsuit, not all the noise. What are you seeing right now in a very micro level that other real estate agents might be missing?
That I saw a Realtor.com statistic the other day behind it. It was There's 1.7% less sellers putting their home on the market that have not had their house on the market in the past. However, we're up, I think it's like 3-4% nationally in terms of inventory. So if you think about it, more homes on the market, less new sellers putting the homes on the market. That gap, that spread, you guys, that's expireds, canceleds, etc., putting their homes on the market again. 70 something percent of expireds will relist their home within 6 months of coming off the market. Over 50% of those will hire a new agent compared to that first agent that they went off the market with.
Wow.
Again, I mentioned I love expireds, and guess what? That's a big gap. And you think about how that is on even on the micro individual level of how many opportunities are in your marketplace. You want more listings? Call the expireds. That's the easiest thing you could do.
Yep, smart. Why are you trying to identify who's in the business to buy or sell, or to sell specifically in this case, when you could just go to say, hey, who's actively trying to sell and didn't have a great agent supporting them and they're back in the
Yeah.
pool and I'm fishing. I'm fishing and I'm a great fisherman.
Yeah,
So,
right?
what do you think? Okay, so 2026 has been a crazy year, right? It marks shifts in the way we do a lot of real estate business structurally and agreements. It's been a shift in terms of age, right? Like we have a lot of younger people that are entering the market, both in the industry, but as well as in the buying selling pool. We have different tools and channels, like you mentioned. There's new legacy ways to do marketing, and there's new innovative ways from social media and beyond to do marketing. So, what are agents going to regret ignoring or implementing into their business this year, right now in 2026, if they
I think
don't
one of
do
the
it?
big
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that we need to focus on that we need to do as well is really think about and strive what is our goal? What are we looking for? Like one of the biggest things that people miss and discount as well is the idea behind Facebook Marketplace for leads. I mean, post your listings to Facebook Marketplace if you want more buyer leads. And if you're looking for a younger demographic of person, well, make your marketing geared towards them. And I feel like that's where a lot of people are missing it as well. And every single conversation from every single lead type is going to look different. Again, your SOI, your friends and family, they're saying, "Hey, Puya, I want to sell my house. Can we talk about selling it?"
Ooh,
Okay,
yeah.
easy enough. However, if you're looking at a FISBO, they're getting calls from other agents. They're getting hammered with people. They're getting potentially some buyer calls, but they're saying, "You know what? I want to sell my house right now." That conversation looks a lot different from an SOI conversation. Make sure you're focusing on the actual person and what you're supposed to be talking to.
Yeah, super. Again, you're going back to what the young agents are doing better is they're
Yeah,
understanding that audience better. They're honing in on the intent of that audience. And that's kind of what I was speaking to earlier, is that the multi-channel approach only works if the language, the content, and the conversation you're having matches the channel, right? You don't put a 30-page dissertation on Instagram. You don't, you put flashy things on TikTok. So there's a place and a type of language for everything, and knowing it. And then also, like you mentioned, knowing the specific audience. What am I saying? Maybe that's something for people to start practicing. Saying, hey, what is my script for FISBO? I know it sounds funny, and I've been in the business for 20 years. But if I walked up to a FISBO today, what are the basic elements of my FISBO script? What am I trying to sell as my value add for a person that's heard it all? What am I talking to my luxury sellers about? What am I talking to my middle market sellers about? What am I talking to my investor partners, my buyers, my first time home buyers versus veteran buyers? Again, very different. Experience and comparison can change your pitch dramatically because you're removing the education element, and now you're doing
yeah.
your unique selling propositions. They're familiar with the product. I need to delineate why I'm better. But meanwhile, there's some people, first time home buyers, first time home sellers, you're in educator mode. You're not a real estate agent anymore. You're a professor. You put on your hat, you bring out your pointer, and you start putting things on the chalkboard and walking them through the process. So I think that's really important. That's great. And you know what? I think all the old agents would appreciate this, because what you're doing is going back to the basics, understanding the
Right.
conversation, understanding the why, the who am I talking to, and then what do I want them to do at the end of the day. Simple as that.
Yeah. Begin with the end in mind, you guys. Find the result and work your way backwards from there. No matter what that result is, no matter who you're talking to, and then that's where you find your starting point.
Yeah. So we've talked about a lot of stuff. And again, this is common. This is common where we're like, okay, we've gone through all these things. They seem simple enough, but this is where I think a lot of agents start to cap their own growth. And it's not because they're not physically capable or cognitively capable, but because they're trying to do everything themselves and they're doing it all at once. And then obviously, something's going to spoil. You got too many pots on the burners. Something's going to get neglected. Water's burning out on this one. This one's frothing over. Forgot to add seasonings to the other one, missing steps in the transaction. So if you break down your last week, how much time would you say you're spending on income producing work, and then maybe time that you're spending on other things? So give me a breakdown of what are your biggest priorities. And I know you talked about prospecting, so I have a
Yeah.
sense that that's going to be where it is, but break that down for us one more time.
So I'm very blessed now, and I have an assistant who does a lot of the back end chaotic work for me, to where like she does all the offer intake. She's licensed, so she can handle all those licensed activities. So me, I get to the office about 6:30 in the morning every single day. From 6:30 to 7:30, that's when I check my emails. I'm working on the business. 7:30, we have a meeting to make sure that we're all aligned in terms of what we need to get done for the day and the activities. From 8 a.m. to noon, that's phone call time. Nothing else distracts me during that time. And if I need to check emails again, I'll do that in the afternoon. But I'm not going to let that distract me as I'm doing my dollar productive activities. From 12 o'clock to the latter of the night, I'm on the actual appointment. So I'm going out there, driving to the houses, meeting with sellers about selling their home. And if I'm not doing that, I'm finding other ways to go back and be productive through making more phone calls. So again, Maggie, very blessed to have her. She makes the listing package. She makes sure that no matter what, I'm prepared for those appointments. So it's not even a concern of crap, am I prepared or do I have my stuff? It's all done for me as well. We, as in some of the other people on the call, may not have that opportunity to have an assistant yet to take care of those things. So my recommendation to you is just time blocking. From maybe, from 7 to 7:30 or 7:30 to 8, you're getting ready for your day. 8 to noon, I would be very religious about a dollar productive and producing activity to find new clients. Maybe 12 to 1 o'clock, that's lunch and checking emails. That's lunch and negotiations, your inspections, whatever that comes down to. But find ways in the evenings to actually be converting on those appointments.
Yeah, that's great. So agents, listen up. That's the crosshairs right there that you need to be focusing in on is either you're going to be delegating if you're so blessed to have the ability to have the bandwidth or the bottom line that allows you to have an assistant, which could do wonders for your business. Don't get me wrong, the delegation is wonderful and it is a force multiplier. But if you're not at that stage yet, if you're in that entry level stage, Austin is giving you the secret sauce. Time block. But what do I put on my schedule? Well, simple. He talked about it. Dollar productive activities. What is going to be the highest and best use of my time to generate income, to generate revenue, to generate leads for myself? What are the higher level tasks that I am best suited to handle? And if I do have a team, what are the tasks that my team could then support me on, right? Support, because you're the leader and they're your support staff. So you need to make sure you have the leadership and the ability if you're gonna delegate, and Austin, you strike me as a person who's a good delegator, you have to be able to delegate well. So as we speak of that, and you have assistants, and I'm assuming you've seen people that may not have had
Yeah.
the best relationship. Why do you think agents struggle to delegate even though they know they should delegate and they may have a person to delegate to? Why are they still struggling?
Control. I mean, everybody, they love having control, and there's always no one can do it better than me, right? Oh, well, I don't need to delegate things to Puya. I can do it better than Puya. Or rather than saying, hey, Puya can do this. Oh, well, it's faster for me to just go and do this real quick rather than give it to Puya. And then we get so frustrated, we get so upset with everything that we're doing that we ended up just fire our assistant doing something else rather than actually delegating that task out. But at the end of the day, if someone can do it 80% as well as you can, just give it to them.
Man, yeah. I mean, if someone got back to like 20 to 40 hours a week and focused only on clients, listings, and that pipeline, and their negotiations, of course, I wonder what would happen to that business if they really focused on the core pieces,
Yeah.
and really, really ground it out. Yeah. Seems like Austin's done that, and it leads to 120 listings a year. That's the easy answer.
So far, so good.
Do you think that some agents are actually addicted to being overwhelmed or to being busy because
I
it
could
makes
see
them
that.
feel like they're productive? Yeah.
I've never thought about it like that or in that way before. but I feel like people almost prefer to be busy sometimes than to have results.
Yeah.
That's almost more fulfilling than the actual dollars that are being brought in. They're making money and they're content with that dollar amount and they feel productive. Great.
Yeah. The conversation I often have with my agents, I'm like, it's okay to not want to do something. So are you actually busy or do you just not want to do it? Because saying I'm too busy or I can't sometimes makes you seem incapable or
Yeah.
imbalanced, unable to block your time. And that can actually be picked up by other sellers. And I've heard agents actually lament that because I post so much and I say I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, I lost clients because they said, oh, agent, sorry, I thought you were just so busy. I didn't want to bother you. And
Yeah.
you're like, this is, I would never want to not be bothered with real estate. But unfortunately, when you put forth that image, it seems like you're overwhelmed, you're already at capacity, and people like to feel like that you have time for them, right? Especially on a very important part of their life. So I think that's another
Perception
part
is
of the deal.
reality.
Yeah. So we're gonna do something fun. We're winding down here. This is the best part. This is the quick and rapid fire round. We're not going to overthink it. You can kind of
Yeah.
just give me a couple words, short phrases. This doesn't have to be built out, but it's just kind of to get inside of your head. So, right now, one book, podcast, or person that you are learning from.
I mean, Michael Hellickson, my dad with Club Wealth.
Excellent, excellent. And where can I find out more about them?
Clubwealth.com.
Shameless plug. Love
Yeah,
it.
right. Yeah.
Love it. Hey, I think it's a great place. So, everybody, definitely,
Yep.
there's some
A book, Atomic Habits. I will say that's probably one of the best books I've read lately is Atomic Habits.
fantastic book. Fantastic book. Speaking of atomic habits, what is one habit that you're going to be building up this year in 2026?
Systems and delegate, or systems, and making sure I can have opportunities to delegate certain things out.
So systems and delegation. Love it. What
Hard.
is
Like 1 or 2 words. I can't do it.
yeah, no. You could what you're doing it perfectly. You're doing it perfectly. What is the biggest mistake that new or young agents are making right now?
Thinking they know it all and is not actually learning from their mentors.
The old dogs have some tricks to teach of themselves. That's definitely the truest thing. And I think some of the best real estate advice I've gotten are through mentorship similar. My father was in real estate well before me, and I learned from him and other colleagues in the industry far before I was even a successful agent. So I totally agree with that one. What is the biggest opportunity in real estate right now? And I think you touched on this one.
Zig when others people zag. I think it's expired personally.
I had a feeling it was going to be expired
Yeah.
prospecting. Hit that
Expired and
expired button.
FISBOs.
You know, FISBOs and expireds, you know they're in the market to do business. You just have to get over a couple of objections. That's it. You have to show why you're better than the previous agent or show why they need an agent to get better results and maybe even get more money for their home sale.
Yep.
So I love that. I love that one. What is one mindset shift that has changed everything for you?
Thinking, ooh, that's gonna make me think for a second. I know I'm not supposed to think. Mindset shift. That find out where your time is best spent. That I love making phone calls, but that's also not the best use of my time anymore. My best time you spent is face-to-face meeting with people in person.
Yeah, know your worth. And it's not always the fun, glorious stuff. Sometimes it's the boring stuff. Sometimes it's the
Mhm.
boring stuff that you should be doing. What is one thing agents need to stop doing, never do again? No more. No more as of 2026 and on. Don't ever do this again.
Not to be generating leads every single day. You have to do that no matter what.
Work on your pipeline daily. It is a daily task, not an incidental task.
Yep.
And one thing agents need to start doing, and I think you just answered that one.
Yeah. Start generating leads, right? Again, the big three: lead gen, lead fault, lead conversion. Do those tasks daily, you'll never be trying to find business.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, if someone's listening right now and they know they're capable of more, but haven't built up that momentum yet, what should they focus on first to change the trajectory of this year?
Ask yourself, what do you want and what are you willing to do? And whatever that is, I mean, I'll say if you want buyer leads, Facebook Marketplace, open houses. You want seller leads, expireds, and you want FISBOs. Those things are cheap to virtually free, and you can generate a lot of leads. However, to what we talked about earlier, Puya, agents aren't usually willing to do it.
So, Austin, you've dropped so many nuggets of knowledge. Kudos to you and your success. Such a young guy in his 20s. Austin is crushing the game right now in real estate. He's closing over 120 per annum. That is something to be admired. And he shared with us today how you could do it. Austin, I appreciate you coming on and sharing that perspective. Conversations like this truly matter because they're showing what is actually shifting in our market, how this next generation is thinking, and how they operate. And that's where the real opportunity is for us if we're paying attention. If something in this episode hit for you, whether it was the discipline, the leverage, or just a mindset shift, send this to someone who needs to hear it. That's super important. Make sure you're following Cracking the Code. And if this brought you value, drop a comment. Let us know what stood out. Tell us what you'd like to hear about next. So until next time, please stay sharp, stay disciplined, and keep on cracking that code in real estate. Thank you again, Austin.
Absolutely. Thanks, Puya.